And okay, well, good afternoon. I'm going to share my screen and let's do this one right there. And I am so happy that you all were able to join us today. Please, at any time, feel free to unmute, share ideas, ask questions. My time for these meetings is really just to be able to share, and I'm trying to find topics that are of interest that people may find useful. So today our meeting is going to be about learning more about HyperDocs. And let's see. So I've met many of you before, but my name is Karen Leonard. I'm the Director of Education Technology and Computer Science at the Oklahoma State Department of Education. At the end of the session, I will give you a bit.ly so you can have all of the links and everything. And if you notice, my email's there, so please feel free to email me with any questions, comments, ideas, concerns that you have. So real quick, I would love to have you, since we've got a small group now, just kind of do some popcorn and just kind of share, what was your favorite part of last week's snowstorm? And some of you are like, absolutely nothing. But share your name, share where you're based. And I just appreciated the first weekend of the snowstorm. My husband and I, we moved into a new house. So it was absolutely brutally cold, but it did allow me to have time to kind of unpack and get used to a new place. So Doris, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Awesome. I am Doris Bigler, and I am in Lawton, Oklahoma with Lawton Public Schools. I really love the snow that we had last week, just because I'm not used to seeing snow very often here, so close to Texas. And my girls love the snow, building snowmen and playing out in the snow. And of course, they loved being home and doing virtual work and getting to use my fireplace, which we don't get to do that often. I loved it.
Fabulous. Let's go. Amanda.
All right. Well, let's see. My favorite part of the snowstorms, wearing sweats for 2 weeks. It was really hard to get up and get dressed this morning and come to work into the office. I also, didn't need to wear a mask when I was at home. So that's good too. And I just want to say, it's nice to connect Doris with a face, because she and I have class together. So
that's awesome. What about, let's see, Dustin?
Sure, absolutely. This Friday was my son's first birthday. And so it was kind of like a 2-week vacation, get to party with him the entire time. So it wasn't really the snow that made me happy, because we have horses, and I broke the outside water faucet and was carrying buckets of water to the barn from the bathtub inside. So it wasn't fun because of the weather, but it was great to be able to spend time and be at home with him and celebrate his first birthday.
Oh, how fun. That's an awesome age.
I'm
Raymond.
more, by the way, so I forgot that.
More. Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm from Liberty High School, and we were just very thankful that we didn't have to be a part of any of the rolling blackouts. We had electricity for the full time. The only thing that we had out in our neighborhood here, we're out west of Sapulpa, north of Kellyville. So we had kind of, there's little flickers of electricity that knocked our Wi-Fi off. So you'd work a couple hours, it'd flicker, knock it off, and then we have to wait for it to reboot, come back on. So other than that, gave us some extra breaks. That's about it. So we were distance learning the whole time, so no snow days.
Oh, Kristen.
Hey everybody, I'm Kristen Tanner. I'm a former classroom teacher, but I work for the Tulsa Regional STEM Alliance now. And my favorite was probably getting to use my fireplace as well. So we ordered a bunch of wood and got to finally use it up. And I think, Ray, did you used to teach in Sapulpa? I used to teach in Sapulpa, and your name is familiar. So, okay, cool.
Zach? We can hear you just a little bit.
I think he said his microphone wasn't working.
Okay.
He typed some stuff in chat.
Awesome, wonderful. And Maria, I'm not sure if you're able to share and say hi.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Maria Franco. I work at the high school as a Spanish teacher. My favorite part was to be able to be in touch with my students. And we are living in the real world, I think. That's what we kind of call it right now, because doing virtual classes, I really don't like it to be away from my students, but it's possible. It's possible. Last Wednesday and Thursday, only 2 students was not able to get in touch with me, 2. So that was amazing. So I said, wow, this is possible. If this is what we have to do, I think it's possible. And the other thing was to spend time with my grandkids. I'm a grandma of 4. So I was able to call them and ask my sons to bring my grandkids, because, you know, it's get to the point that you need them, you miss them, and you want to be with them. So they was able to come to Camp Friday, and we spent like an hour outside building the snowman, and they are creative. They want to do the igloo from the snowman. So a lot of clothes on, boots and mittens and scarf and beanies. So we have a good time. And then Saturday, I have the other 2, a boy and a girl. And we spent more than an hour, because even though that it was a lot of snow on the ground, but the weather was beautiful. It was sunny and great weather. So we was able to spend a lot of time outside doing fun activities. So
good. You know, it is nice to be able to have that time together with the family. That's always making those great memories. Mine are too old and don't want to do that anymore. So, which is okay with me right now. Well, thank you again for sharing a little bit about who you are, where you're from. And I am going to begin. Today, we're going to talk about HyperDocs and ways that you can use HyperDocs. And then I'm going to have that open time where, you know, if you have questions, answers. The best part about these meetings is the ability to brainstorm with each other and share ideas and bounce ideas off of each other. So, you know, think of some questions, write some down, but as I'm going through, please always feel comfortable unmuting and asking questions and sharing. So I love HyperDocs. I think that they are a great way to share information with students. So some basic background about what a HyperDoc is. It's really just a document with links to other information. It could be other documents, it could be websites, it could be videos. And the fact is, it's all in one single document. So if you're thinking about the time that you would take to prepare an entire lesson and share individual documents and videos and websites through a learning management system, here you put everything into one doc and you can just share that one doc with students, and it just helps them remain organized, keeps it all together, makes it much more fluid. And again, these can be multimedia resources. It can be images, videos, audio, text, and of course, hyperlinks to any website. I do have and it allows for student self-directed learning. And I love that too, because they should be able to progress through many of the activities on their own, which makes it great that you are available maybe for individual or small group conferences while students are working, or this is something that you can push out for some of the distance learning opportunities for our students. I do just have a short video, and I am honestly not sure if my sound's going to work. This is not my normal computer, So I'm going to try it. Someone had said that if I go up here and share sound, that this should help.
Welcome to the HyperDocs poster session. Sarah, Kelly, and I, the creators of HyperDocs, have created this space to help define what HyperDocs are, share how to find them, and introduce resources to help you create and deliver them for any age learner. Curious about what they are? HyperDocs are digital lessons that you can create and customize for your students on any topic or subject. They promote inquiry-based learning and make learning interactive, collaborative, and student-centered. They allow students to create, explore, and learn using a variety of multimedia tools, all based on how you design them. But what makes these lessons more than a digital worksheet? It's all about the personal design choices, balancing effective use of tech with content and delivering it with strong pedagogy. It begins with the shift in the cycle of learning. Rather than explain, assign, assess cycle, it moves students towards inquiry learning by starting with exploration before explaining a concept and ending with application of new knowledge. So I learned this, now what? Often HyperDocs are confused as a program or an app with one right way to do them. They are neither of these, but more like a HelloFresh of lesson design. They're not fast food ready to go, but meant to be crafted, designed, and elevated to fit the specific needs of your students. When you find one, our Teachers Give Teachers community encourages you to make a copy and edit, allowing you to be the designer rather than the assigner. As you work your craft to support the learning of the students in front of you, adding and embedding all of your goals to meet their needs. Always keeping innovative learning in mind. What is it I can do now with these digital lessons that I couldn't do before?
So that was just a quick overview. I really like the fact that, again, you're designing the learning and instruction for students. There are so many of them out there. It's like one of those rabbit holes that you can fall into. When I was Googling to try and find some good examples to share, there's just so many things out there. And for the most part, it could be a Word document, but it typically tends to probably be more of the Google based. And the great thing is you just make a copy, you edit it to fit your individual needs, and then you can share it with students. So
welcome to the HyperDocs poster session.
There we go. So here are some examples of different HyperDocs. To me, I'm a visual learner, and I just think that it's just visually appealing for me and for students. You can add images and, like I said, the links, and it kind of breaks things down into sections and makes it easy for students to navigate. There are several different ways that you can create HyperDocs. And, like with anything, they're kind of fluid back and forth. So you can create a playlist of activities for students. Maybe they are able to proceed at their own pace or at their own order. And, you might attend other sessions that just focus on creating playlists. But playlists could be a form of a Google Doc. Students can make their own comments in the notes and dates completed. This one does not seem to have as many of the links and active links, but I just wanted to kind of show you how students might be able to navigate and use a playlist form. You can also do more of the self-paced learning where you give your students a HyperDoc at the beginning of the week and say, you need to do so many of these activities by the end of the week, and students are able to progress through just at their own pace. You can link pre-tests and assessments, formative assessments in there, and they're able to go through on their own. Here are probably the ones that I've seen most frequently. The 5E model, where you're asking you're trying to engage your students, trying to get them to explore the topic, explain what they've learned, extend their learning by applying that learning to different situations, and then evaluate student learning. And again, it's just very constructed The teacher delivery content or area is on the left-hand side on most of these, and the right-hand side is where students are providing feedback or their own information to share. And again, it's trying to engage the learner to begin with, have them just drink it all in and be able to use it and share. Now, there's actually a HyperDoc model as well. Two teachers several years ago thought this is great, and they created their own model. And you'll probably, if you're doing any research on HyperDocs, going to see them out there. But this is considered the basic HyperDoc model. It is based upon the 5 E's, but they kind of reorganized it on their own. So it's engage, explore, explain, apply, share, reflect, and extend. And I really like the addition of the reflect part. All of these are linked. So if you are hovering over an image, you're able to go directly to that. And again, I really like the fact that this is a template where it's kind of explaining what can occur in each of these sections of a HyperDoc. So again, here's the basic template. I'm going to open it up, and well, obviously I'll be fixing that one in a little bit. I do believe that if I go back to this one right here, that link will work. There we go. Okay, so when any of these come up, you may be asked to, it might force a copy, or you're able to go to File and make a copy. We have this wonderful protection software for downloading any items through the State Department, so that's why it took me so long. But you know, just file, make a copy, and edit as you see fit. So, what are some other templates you could use? Here's another one. Maybe explore, explain, apply. Once again, the teacher direction is given on the left-hand side, and the student responses are given on the right-hand side. And again, you can modify, make your own pictures, anything. It's an active link to a template. Here were two different templates for the 5E plan. And again, it doesn't matter what template you use. Maybe you create your own template. What I do think is very good for our students is the fact that, again, each one is separated and segregated, and they're changing colors. So it kind of helps your students go through the process. And if I were creating a template or using these on my own, I would probably stick with the same color scheme for all of them, so that my students, I don't think I would want to skip from one template type to another and confuse my students. I would probably find a template or a format or create my own and consistently use that one. This one was a little different. This is something that was called a workshop model. Again, kind of interesting, but it's talking about making connections and then teaching and learning. And it still has the engagement, but this one has independent application. And if you notice in yellow, under each of these little sections, they're trying to show you some tools or software or websites that might be useful when you're creating. So if you're connecting students, maybe you're thinking of a YouTube or an image or a quote. But if you're encouraging the engagement part, maybe you're going to have them do a Padlet or a Google Hangout with someone. Now, so far, I've only showed you HyperDocs that have been in actually Google Docs, but it's really easy to make a HyperDoc out of a Google Slide template as well. And in this case, you're just training students to go, each slide has a different set of information. So I liked this. I think that upon looking at this one, I would probably reorganize it a little bit, because I'm thinking that when students are trying to read what they need to be doing, the color contrast may not be great enough. And there it's asking me to make a copy if I would like to use that one on my own. Another one, and if you are an EdTech coach, this is something that I would possibly consider. This is a multimedia tech set, an MMTS, or a game board. And I have seen this used a lot. I think Amanda's shaking her head for teacher professional learning opportunities. It's great because I do have a sample I'll show you, but again, you can just make a copy. There's template designer at the bottom. So I didn't make any of these on my own. These were all just things that I pulled offline. But this is a great way to have students or teachers go through and watch and view and listen and create. Here's another one I found kind of interesting. This one is actually a sample. The samples I'm showing you, I am not saying that any of the content is valid, that any of them line up to our Oklahoma academic standards. I'm just showing ones that I found that I thought looked appealing and could be useful for students. So here's one on digital citizenship training, and it's actually multiple steps. And I could see this probably more for maybe distance learning. And of course, there we go. It is coming very slowly. But they called this the superhero template. And again, you're going through the different steps, call to adventure, your engagement. There's a video there. And like I said, this would be pretty engaging to me as a learner just to see this instead of seeing words on maybe a workbook page or a handout or something. So they're going through and watching, they're entering, and there we go. It's going very slowly. Again, it's laid out in a slightly different way, but right there, students that might have some difficulty reading some of the words, it has the eyeballs there, and you're going to give them some of those visual clues that might help them watch that. And this one is actually having students provide some questions, things that they've learned, and tips for others. Here they have put images that have text blocks in them. And I loved this last part, your mastery. They're actually sending you to a website where students can make their own comics. Again, with a link such as this comic, this may or may not be approved by your school district. I didn't go through to find out all of the fine details as to what ages would be appropriate. Again, just trying to show you some different formats. So here was another one on the design process. And this one is the actual 5E. It's going through with engaging. Very easy. Click here, talking about the design process. I'm not going to click and open that up because of my download time, but that was one of the 5E models. Here was another one. I think that this one was a 5E model that went through, and it's for math. And look at this one here. We will have a quick mini lesson as a class. So part of this is actual face-to-face learning as well, or small group synchronous. So it doesn't have to be completely individually student-based or where they're working alone. Here was another one that I thought was very creative. I'm looking on the side and I'm seeing right there, I can see that there's going to be a Padlet involved. It gives visuals for students to know which tools are being linked here as well. Some of the HyperDocs I saw even told students, like if it were the older students, you're going to go to this website, you're going to create your account. So depending upon what age group, you might be able to provide them different instructions as well. Here was an example of one of the game boards, and let's see, there we go. This one was for students, and I believe the next one is for professional learning for teachers. Again, you're able to download this, and what I really liked about this was, again, It gives a brief description of the different tools, and teachers can go through and select the tool that they want to learn about on their own. Okay, this one to me was even more creative. This is actually created by one of my professors at Oklahoma State. And if you were to click on it, each of the Bitmojis takes you to a different doc that describes some of the literature review process. And again, just a very creative way. This one does not have the interactivity where students are posting and sharing, but it was a very creative way to share a large group of knowledge with us. So I would love right now, I'm going to actually jump ahead and share with you the bit.ly for this presentation. So it's bit.ly/EdTech Feb 22nd. And those letters, the E, the T, and the F would all need to be capitalized. But I would like you to jump into this presentation. And actually, I think it was on like slide 28 or 26 that there's a link to a Jamboard. I'm actually going to copy this link into the chat box as well. It looks like Callie Ann. Actually, it was Dr. Stansberry, but yeah, sharing with all of that, absolutely. So in the chat box, you can see the link to the Jamboard, and I would love to have you share either ways that you have already used HyperDocs, ways that you could use HyperDocs, and just share some ideas with other people, or if you just want to unmute and share as well. And then I've got some really good tips for you on creating them. What if I were to share the direct link to the Jamboard? Would that help too? And it should be anyone. Yep, there's the editor copy link. I'm going to paste this into the chat. Oh, and did that go to everyone? Everyone in the room. There we go. So while you are sharing some different ways that you could use HyperDocs, I'm going to kind of share some other information with you, and then we'll circle back and see what other people have shared. I found these two really awesome documents that I thought would be very useful as guides for teachers if they wanted to start creating HyperDocs. So here was one of the basic HyperDoc templates, but you're going to look that when you open it up, the links are all active and it's clear, you'll make a copy, but it's saying that if you're talking about explaining, maybe you're going to have them do a Rasma or a whiteboard or a podcast. And if you're talking about reflection, maybe they're going to use a Padlet or a Wordle or a Flipgrid. Sometimes some of our teachers really need some guidance in thinking about how in the world can I have students explain something or apply something that they've learned. So I thought that this was a great guide. And again, this was just the basic HyperDoc template. Here was a guide for the 5 E's. Pretty much some of the same information. These are not active links on the tools, but I thought it kind of gave some good guiding questions, again, that some teachers or maybe even you could find useful. So I'm gonna go back and see if we've got some ways that we can use HyperDocs. And okay, teacher professional development. Love HyperDocs, training teachers, great. Choice boards, I love choice boards. I was trying to think of that with the game boards, but again, what a wonderful way to share links. And provide students that individual ability to choose on their own. Virtual field trips, I hadn't thought of that. I love that idea. Google Classroom assignments. And you know, I'm working on my doctorate and I'm taking all of my notes and Google Docs, and I am just linking them back and forth to maybe my philosophy class I'm finding very difficult. So I'm going out and finding other websites that support and share some of the information we're using. So I'm actually using HyperDocs to take my own notes. And then quizzes. You can create a link to a correct or try again in the slideshow. Oh, I love that. Yes, I hadn't thought of that either. Kind of like a choose your own adventure with your quizzes. Fabulous. Well, if you've got some more, I would love to have you share those. So some other HyperDoc resources I found. Obviously, you're always able to create your own. If you do find some out there, it's so easy to modify them, and I always like to look first. Teachers are so great about sharing the things that they create. There is actually a HyperDoc Facebook group that I joined. People are sharing information there. HyperDoc actually has its own website. There is a Twitter feed where people are sharing all kinds of HyperDocs there. There's a YouTube channel where there are a plethora of videos on how to create and things that you can do and share. And then several other websites that just have samples of HyperDocs. So I pretty much have shared all that I was planning to share, but anyone out there that would like to share something that you found successful or used or something you hadn't thought before that might be interesting to others?
I really like the MMTS format, the game board on slide 27. I think that might be a part of my next Tech Tip Tuesday. Just some quick self-paced PD for teachers.
Love that.
I've seen this used as a scavenger hunt, and they've done a HyperDoc scavenger hunt, and the kids really get into that. It's a lot of fun being able to go and find things and come back. So,
you know, I think that's another thing that I really like about this is, you know, we want students to be able to go out and navigate the internet, but sometimes when they're out there searching, either they go down their own rabbit hole or they find inappropriate information. And sometimes it's just really nice to give them a direct link, and it provides some of the safety and security of that as well. So in terms of like scavenger hunts, you're providing them the specific direct links, and kind of hopefully they're at least staying within those reins. Well, again, the great thing is you can just save them. You can go find them, save them, modify them. And even if you find something for a grade level that's too old or too young, maybe you're able to modify some of that on its own too. So hopefully you have learned something a little new. Are there any other topics, questions, concerns, something that you're like, this has just been amazing since we've returned from Christmas, or, oh my gosh, things fell apart? Anyone have any suggestions on how this can be fixed?
well, our district just got the full CAMI licenses. I don't know if people are familiar with CAMI, but we are loving it. We've been using the free version for a long time, but we finally got the district to purchase the full thing, and it's just mind-blowing the things you can do with CAMI. So if you haven't used it, it lets you write in PDFs and lets the kids write in them, and they can use comments and do video comments, and so it's great for special needs and the little ones too. But yeah, CAMI has been one of our favorite things that we've started using this year.
And you know what? I'm going to put that in the chat because it's KAMI, kind of strange. There is a free version, and I have used the free version for quite a while. I can't remember, is it like a limit of number of students? Or
I think you have 150 students for the free version.
And 90 days of the
If
free
that's
version.
for the, yeah, you'll get the free, well, you get the trial for 90 days for the full thing. But after that, you can still use the free version for as long as you want.
It's been pretty nice. The school I worked at in Georgia, we had Microsoft Surface tablets. So it was great for them to be able to go in and take some of those guided notes and use a stylus and actually do the writing. So loved that. I know some of our teachers were also doing that with a lot of the Google slide packets that they would create where, you know, they're drawing on maps and asking students questions. So basically another form of HyperDocs.
I love to make my Google Docs or my Google Slides interactive. That's my favorite.
Well, especially if those students aren't there, if you're presenting face-to-face, or, you know, sometimes it takes listening to something a couple times and to have them be able to have that freedom to go back and review it is fabulous.
Well, and to just easily drop in video or screenshots, text directions, you can add audio with your Google Slides now, all of those things. You can have an all-in-one package that you can push out, or if they're in person, they can come back to it later.
You know, that's a really good idea. When I was teaching and I knew that I was going to be out, I would make a screencast video that I would share with the students so that, you know, no teacher wanted to go in and teach a technology class because, oh my gosh, they were petrified of computers at that time. So I would make a video, and that way there was never any, well, but our substitute didn't tell us that. But think, you could put a screencast into a HyperDoc and then have everything right there.
Yeah.
Great.
I've encouraged teachers to put as many videos in as they can, at least put an audio. It helps the students that are online, it helps the students that are in person, it helps students that are language learners or just on an IEP. It supports everyone.
Now, when you share videos, are there any, I use ViewPure. Do you just go ahead and share a YouTube link, or are there any like purifying or
when you drop it into Google Slides, it takes the outside edges off.
Okay.
I mean, they can still click on it and get to YouTube, but you can have it start playing automatically. You can even take off the last second so that it doesn't get to that page that has all the ads at the end. So we were using Safe YouTube, I think, but then it switched. So we've just been embedding most of our videos.
I love that. That's awesome. Great. Any other ideas to share? Well, I was going to say that, again, you have the link to the slide deck, and feel free to use, take, modify any of the templates or any of the HyperDocs that are there. My March meeting, do you find it useful to have a topic for these meetings that might help you learn something new? Okay. What my idea for next month was going to be podcasting. Is that good? You can unmute or put in the chat. Is there another topic that you're like, I would really like to learn more about? Okay, does podcasting sound good? Podcasting tools, ideas, ways to use it. Okay, great. Okay. I don't want to create something and share something if you're like, I am never having the desire to use this. So I just want to make sure. I love podcasts. I think they're fun. Students love making them. They can be done very quickly, very effectively, and give students that live audience that they really enjoy having. Gives them authentic purpose for their work. So other than that, I'm once again just going to put the link to the slide deck in the chat box in case you did not get it. Please, no, let's see. Again, have you, I'm sure because each of you are here, that you have that computer or that device that is like your device. And when you have to switch devices, especially when I have a Mac that's been in the shop for 2 weeks and I'm using a Microsoft Surface tablet and it just doesn't do what I want it to do at the right time. So I figured you would understand. So again, there is a link. Please, I'm going